tell as a commissioner of police, tell the politician, back off. You have no knowledge. Tell as a commissioner of police, tell the...
Don't go there.
You are a technocrat. I mean, you can speak to whether or not it was appropriate or inappropriate for that to occur. Would you have done that as a permanent secretary?
Politicians get the information from wherever source that they can.
That's going to be the extent of your answer.
Yeah.
Don't go there.
There's a lot of noise around the data protection bill that, in my respectful view, is not warranted.
I was one of those making noise, and it's simply because I was concerned about that specific section 33.
Don't go there.
Are you going to be offering yourself up as political leader of the party?
I see you've called me here for much more than diplomatic passports. I don't mind that.
Don't go there.
What is the relationship like between you and your leader, Dr. Mitchell, your boss, Dr. Mitchell?
I'm not sure how to explain how to answer this question at this time. I prefer not to answer.
Don't go there.
They said that you approached the bank for the loan before the election and that it only materialized after the election. There are also conflicting reports around the quantity of monies that were received. What is the reality here?
People try to extort the truth and to make all kinds of things about it. I just stay quiet. So if you notice, I was really and truly quiet about the whole matter.
Well, except with not with the New Today newspaper. The New Today newspaper reported on this. So I'm not sure you were quiet on this. Go ahead, Honorable. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just trying to answer your question, right?
Don't go there.
I think we just spoke at length about the regularization framework. So
yes, we did. But let us talk, Prime Minister. Let us talk about the workers who are dismissed.
The Bubb Report. We go there.
A pleasant good morning to our viewers and listeners, and we welcome you to this week's edition of the Bubb Report. I'm honored to be hosting this week's program from beautiful Grenada. Of course, this is the post-carnival period. Like everyone, I also have a post-carnival cold. A slight cold is not too bad and severe as some others have had it. But here we are doing our post-carnival post-mortem. We have 3 packed segments for you today. We are going to examine what happened with the National Carnival Queen Show. Then we're going to have a conversation with the CEO of Spicemas Corporation. We were able to finally snag an interview with her that we conducted yesterday that we would also air on today's program. And later in the program, we will be joined by the winners of this year's Band of the Year category, and that is the Rainbow City Mass Promoters from Big Parish St. Andrew. And they continue with the amazing work of the legacy that the late great Peter Bain started. And really more young people are getting involved in that band, and it's hopefully it's a sign of good things to come. But before we get into the first segment, folks, we want to hear from you in the comments section. Let us know what you did for Carnival. How was the experience for you overall? What were the highlights? What were the lowlights? We do want to hear from your comments. Those of you visiting, what was that experience like? Those of you who played Mass, like myself, I played Mass as well. What was that experience like for you? Tell us about your experience with Carnival 2026, Spicemas 2026. Now, of course, this year, unfortunately, there was 2 incidents that occurred. There was a vehicular accident in the St. Mark area that claimed the life of 1, as well as the tragedy on Grandlands Beach that claimed the life of 2 visitors. So as we are winding down from the euphoria of Carnival, I want us to really pay respect to those who lost their lives so tragically around the Carnival season. The 2 visitors from the US, they were coming to enjoy the Carnival products and really coming to enjoy what Grenada had to offer. And so let us honor them and pay respect to their lives and to their families. We do extend our deepest condolences here on the Bubb Report for their loss. It's not a very easy thing that you go on vacation, you go to have a good time, and then for your family to receive a call that you perished in such tragic and gruesome circumstances. And I just have to say, really, I just want us to stop sharing these gruesome events when they occur, because really, it's not a good way for families to be notified that their relatives passed. But I'm absolutely certain that none of us want to be in a situation where the end of our lives is recorded and live streamed and uploaded on all various forms of social media. There is a particular indignity to that I will still not get used to. And I know that folks have become desensitized to these things, but I think there are certain things that are sacred. The end of a life under such circumstances, the end of a life period is a sacred transition to another realm. So again, may these families, may these victims rest in peace, and may their memories be a blessing. So let us know where you're watching the Bubb Report from this week. I see we have Lydia Louison here. I had the honor of meeting Miss Louison. I also had the honor of meeting the other Lydia who is in Toronto at, I believe it was at the Soca Monarch or the Queen Show. So it was a pleasure seeing you there as well, Lydia. We have on board as well, we have Justin Pear who is with us. That's Dr. Justin Pear. And we also have Karen Williams. She's saying, good morning, Dr. Bubb. Happy Sunday from Fort Worth. Happy Sunday from Fort Worth. So, folks, what we want to do is to get straight into the very first segment of our program, where we are doing a post-mortem of Spicemas 2026, the highlights and the lowlights. Now, for the very first segment of the program, we will be making sense of the National Carnival Queen Show that was held this year, the production of the event, as well as the outcome of the show. Now, every carnival, it has become customary for some of the results of any given competition to be questioned and put under the microscope. This year, it was the Carnival Queen Show. Interestingly, there were no controversies over the outcome of either the Groovy, Power Soca, or the Dimash Gras Show, or even Panorama. And by the way, congratulations to the best steel pan out there. That's the New Dimension. That's the band that I support. So I was very happy that for Cordell on the team on their victory. But this year's Carnival Queen Show became a case in point of that controversy. And it appeared as if history really repeated itself in 2026 as it did in 1995. Now, here to make sense of the National Carnival Queen Show are two people who are intimately familiar with the business of Queen Shows, namely former Spicemas CEO, Ms. Shama Wells, who also served as Mistress of Ceremony for Queen Shows in the past, as well as Charmaine Gibbs, who was a former Carnival Queen contestant in 1995. And the results of that Carnival Queen Show in 1995 was also controversial. I remember that year as well. And I believe that was the last year, and Shama can correct me when she gets on, that was the last year, I believe, that a carnival was held at the old Queen's Park before it was demolished. And in 1996 to 1999, I believe, it was over at Tantine. But ladies, welcome to this week's edition of the Bubb Report. It's a pleasure to have you all here. And both of you have the unique distinction of being on two ends of the spectrum, if you will, on the Carnival spectrum, for the Carnival Queen Show spectrum, that is. Auntie Sherma, who served as MC for many Queen Shows, but she also served on the back end, preparing the young ladies. And Kim Francis was Charmaine Gibbs, who was a former Carnival Queen contestant in 1995. I apologize, Ms. Gibbs. But welcome to you, ladies. Welcome to this week's edition of the Bubb Report.
Well, thank you. And morning to your listeners. And I just want to say, Kalon, let me once again congratulate you on your excellent job at this program. You know, you were always meant for greatness, in my opinion. You know that. This is not bribery, and you know that. Yeah?
Yeah, I know that,
Smile if
Auntie
you want
Shama.
to.
Yes, I know that. Yes.
Good morning, Charmaine. It's a pleasure seeing you, beautiful girl. Yes.
Thank you. Good morning. And bear with me. I think for those of us who had the call, like yourself, Dr. Bob, I didn't realize you got it as well. But I think
I
that
think
means
I
was
would
well played.
I would call it
Well played.
mayhem.
If you get the
Mass
call
well
after
played.
carnival, mayhem.
I would
Yes,
call it
mayhem. I
mayhem.
think that's what they call it.
Yes,
I don't know what
it
they call it,
is.
but every post carnival has a carnival cold,
And there is a name
it has a
for it.
name. So there's always a name.
I am dubbing it mayhem. I don't know what other people would, they'll come up with something. Might call it Kimberly for all you know.
Right. Yes, Kimberly and Keith. I mean that's
never
what's
know. They
trending
might
now.
call the cold
But
Kimberly.
ladies, yes.
Anyway.
But ladies, yes, let us go down memory lane a bit, because again, I think context matters, and present is they say the past is prologue, but I think the present is also prologue as well, because the present is also a reflection of what occurred in the past. In the context of the National Queen Show, what we witnessed in many respects was, in some respects, history repeating itself. In other ways, not so much. So we want to get into it. We want to go down memory lane a bit. Charmaine, I want to begin with you as a former National Carnival Queen contestant. The year that you participated in National Carnival Queen Show, the contestants who participated, and why that year was exciting.
So, as you remember, it's 1995, and doing the counts, it's 31 years ago. And there were 7 of us. And interestingly enough, I'm just going through the list this morning. I'm trying to remember all of our names. And, there were 4 of us that came from St. George's. The other contestants were from various parishes, but I'm not sure if it was a situation where they didn't have any contestants at the time from each parish, or it wasn't a thing. Whereas I know of recent years, we make sure to have at least one representative from each parish, which is a good thing. But back in 95, as I said, there was 7 of us, Kim Francis, Michelle Gray, myself, Shanta Gibbs, Calestra, Nisha Jurakan, Giselle, I can't remember her last name. So there were 7 of us, and I mentioned 4 of us at least were from St. George's.
Very, very interesting. So there was not and perhaps Auntie Shama can give us some context as to when it became a national competition, in the sense that all parishes were represented. So I do remember, as you said, Charmaine, Nisha Paula Jurican, Callistra Faria, and you all, during that period of carnival, all of the Carnival Queen contestants were on the road carnival Monday and Tuesday in your costume. So let us talk about, Charmaine, that experience, that overall carnival experience. It was not only competing on the night, but let us talk about the associated carnival activities that the Queen contestants participated in back then.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. For me, the highlight was the lead up to the show. And we took part in various fashion shows. We had a lot of photo shoots. We had interviews, a lot of little different events where we got to know each other a lot more. Remember, back then, there's no social media, right? So we couldn't post anything. So it was mostly about getting to know each other and getting out there in the community itself and getting to know people, and so that people could get to know us as well. And so the lead up to the show was quite spectacular. And then for me, after that, the thing I looked forward to the most was being on the road in my costume. I couldn't wait for that.
Yeah, that was, and you guys, all of it, starting with the winner, whoever won, I believe they were at the front, and then, but Auntie Shama, let me bring you in here to talk about, on the back end, you working in the process of preparing the young ladies, young women like Charmaine and Michelle Gray and others, for the big night. Talk to us about that process of preparation that went into preparing the young ladies back in the day.
Well, let me first say this. That particular Queen show, mind you, I chaired or ran 8 Queen shows in Grenada. Yeah? That particular one was done by a different committee. I just want to reflect a little bit on the point that Charmaine made about the contestants being 4 from St. George's. Prior to that, under my jurisdiction, if I may use that word, one for a better one, we did have national queen shows and chose girls from all over Grenada. For some reason, that particular committee in that time decided, and they were there for about 3 years, to just get girls as they see fit. And hence the reason why you had 4 girls from St. George's. For example, I'll take you to 1987, when Mary Noel won the Queen Show. That was the first time, and historically,
representing St. David. Yes,
that's right. There was a semi-final Queen Show in Grenada, ran by me. Semi-final. We had 14 girls, 2 from each parish, including Carriacou and Petit Martinique together, competing in Sea Moon in a semi-finals. We chose 7 girls and took them to the national, to Queen's Park. Yeah. Coming along the way, some folks decide they want to do their own thing, and they got rid of the every parish sort of situation. That's why you end up with 4 girls from St. George's, etc., etc. Now, getting back to your question, which I just forgot.
Yes, no. The question was about the preparing them. I mean, you touched
preparing
on
the goods.
Yes.
We at that prepared Charmaine. We prepared Charmaine Gibbs for that Queen Show. We took her in-house, had her properly trained, got her costume ready, her evening wear ready. Like I mentioned before, both costume and evening wear was designed by Marcia Sammy, and got her ready for that show. Yeah. So the other girls were prepared by other persons, but certainly the preparation that takes place is a very rigid one. And we would make sure that the girls are properly trained to walk, trained with good manners, because they have to interact with the public and attend different events, etc. Have some decorum about them. We very, very, very much want to make sure that all the girls are very, outstanding. And when they walk the streets or they go to an event, they are saying, "Here I am, I'm a queen," because we put a lot of training. Mrs. Sammy and I did a lot of that work with the girls going forward, and most of them would tell you that. Sometimes I meet some of them I can't even remember, but we did a lot of training. And as Charmaine mentioned, we always had that fashion show, tea and fashion show, which is now back on the slate, and other events that would take place that would give them the opportunity to showcase themselves before a crowd, and that helped build their confidence as well, and let the crowd, the public, get to know them. So it's a lot of training that would have taken place before the show. Yeah.
Let us talk about, yes, absolutely. Let us talk now about, and let us sort of, and context matters, but now we are going to really hone in on 2026, the Queen Show 2026, and the critique here of the Queen Show this year was issue of production, or lack thereof. Lack thereof for those who have standards, right?
Yeah.
And also the results, but and those are two separate buckets. But let us talk about production and your observations of what occurred this year, as someone seasoned in not only preparing the girls, but someone who also the young women, but also someone who played an integral role as a former CEO of Spicemas Corporation in looking at the overall big picture with respect to production quality, etc.
I know some folks may not appreciate what I'm about to say, but like you, Kalon, I happen to be a very straightforward speaking individual, and I think that
correct.
In terms of giving the Queen Show a grade from 1 to 10, I would probably give it a -5 in terms of production. To me, it had historically the most unproduced, unappreciated, unacceptable in so many different ways as a production of a Queen show. With all due respect to my dear friend Chris Edwards, I think he was the wrong choice. Even if as a new person MCing, he should have had another person with some experience with him on that stage to guide him. And one of the things that really stuck out with me with him as an MC, and you can't blame him, he's new, is when he actually brought some measure of the first speculation as to the results to the audience when he asked to verify whether a particular segment in the show was added to the final results.
Tally.
Now,
yeah.
Yes. Now, an experienced MC would never bring that information to the public. They would probably ask for a pause or so and speak to whoever is responsible. But that information should never be said by the MC on the stage. He's trying to save himself. But at the same point in time, he's putting the show into scrutiny. Yeah. So the MC was unfortunate. I must say it was a shouting match. Unlike, it wasn't a soca show, it was a Queen show, and you deserve a certain level of tone. Yeah. Of course, he didn't have that. I guess he didn't. He probably could have checked with Ricky or or Troy Garvey. We may have been able to guide him accordingly. But that's besides the point. The actual production of the shows, again, I am not sure, if I may say this, the level of training that takes place for the show itself, because you can train a girl, teach her how to walk, etc., etc. And when that girl gets on the stage, that's where you see everything. And there's certain things we notice that is not necessarily queenly. Remember, this is a Carnival Queen show. And as I mentioned in a post, sexuality is not poise, is not elegance. And this is what a Queen show should be. I've seen girls heading hands up in the air. I don't know if they're calling for Jesus to come down to help them or whatever the case may be. All sorts of funny moves that is not necessarily part of a Carnival Queen show as we know it. You realize I say as we know it because things do change and evolve. Even when we get down to the aspect of the costuming, portraying your costume with the carnival spirit, is it that carnival spirit now is winding down on the ground? Is that a requirement? I don't know. I saw some girls literally winding down on the ground. Oh, we would say that's how we portray carnival on the streets, but is it the right way to portray your costume on the stage? That's another matter by itself. So it's all these elements and more that the producers of the shows or the Queen Show Committee need to instill and ensure that these things happen. They obviously, whoever the committee is, seem not to, well, I shouldn't say they didn't, because the chairperson of the committee was a contestant in my time. Tessa McQuilkin went at the same year that Mary Noel took part in Queen Show. So she should know the rudiments, I'm not sure who produced that show. And if we go back in time and look at some of the excellent shows that the producer, a lot of people talk about Ricardo's show back then. A lot of memorable things came out of shows that we've done in the past. So I don't know why we're heading down that road. It's a steep market hill we're going down. I saw folks who didn't only was upset with the results, but was upset with the entire show itself. So the production was a I don't know what to, a mix up. I don't want to go lower than that, but certainly, yes, you may say new generation, fair enough. But even if we talk about a new generation, there are certain standards that we should try to maintain. This is a creme de la creme of the season as it relates to our ladies. And let me also say this to you, Helen. The level of Queen shows in my time, and you'll be shocked to hear this, the amount of income generated used to help pay the calypsonians. You know what I'm telling you? The income from Queen Shoe back then was the biggest for the Carnival Committee, and it used to help pay the artists in Calypso. Remember, we didn't have the soca and groove and so on, yeah? So that tells you what it was like then. I am very pleased to see the crowd has been building, but what are they building for? What are they getting? For an entire audience to feel so disillusioned, it sends a serious message. But last year had the same way people had a lot of feelings as well. I would say this to you with all being very genuine. I actually had a brief conversation with the new CEO. And I felt that being there before, also being as a CEO, I felt very open to say this to her. And I said to her, the Queen Show of 2025, the production was poor. I hope that going forward, it will improve. Well, it didn't improve. And that's the production.
It got worse. It
yes,
got worse.
It did.
It got worse.
And we have to, you see, we have to admit it. There are lots of great things that happen for the carnival season, but that doesn't mean that we should just say, oh, it was a great carnival and not necessarily look at certain elements that needs to be improved.
Correct. Yes. Yes, absolutely.
So that's my take on the production.
Charmaine?
Yes, actually, I wanted to just quickly chime in.
If you just chime in, please. Yes,
chime in on the topic of production. So, for person who's watching the show and saw where the production wasn't on point as we expected, and for someone being on the other side of the fence, I want to share this. And a lot of people probably don't. You're probably not mindful of this, but for contestants who have taken the time, their team has trained them, they know exactly what they're going to do. And then on the night, if the production is not on point, that throws you off. It changes your mindset. Whatever in the way of production can affect your performance as a contestant. So I'm just saying this to say it doesn't just affect the audience. It also, if production is not on point and where it ought to be, it affects the contestants and their performances as well.
And that's a very important point. Let's talk about, let's just pick up on that more, at least of the mental state. You are a queen contestant. I suppose, let's say there is a delay. For example, they had several delays, and there were also some personal issues with the young ladies, as well as I understand it, backstage, and those things can happen. But mentally, as a carnival queen, what goes through your mind when, for example, there are these hiccups, whether it's the lighting or whether you're doing your talent and then the mic does not sound as it should, or the lighting is off. What is going through your mind as a contestant for something that you spent weeks and months preparing for?
Exactly. The funny thing is, each of us will handle differently to a situation, right? Because we each have different personalities. But when you're trained for so many weeks and maybe months, and then something throws you off, if you are not mentally stable, it just ruins your night. If you're not strong, if your team is not there to say, listen, you got this, or don't worry about that, or you also have to be a quick thinker. I remember when I was on stage with my costume, I think parts of it fell off, parts of just minor bits. I think the sponge on the shoulder bits, and I just had to carry on as normal. But another person, it may throw them off. They may get nervous, and as we're on the topic of nervous, everything else, I thought I was good. I felt confident, but on the night itself, the nerves, it definitely kicks in, and that's another aspect of it, right? Some people can take medication for it. You can have your team tell you all sorts, but when you see the nerves kick in, that's another story on its hand. So back to the production, if you have that plus a bad production, that's working against the contestants.
Yes, absolutely. And yes, Auntie Shoma, go ahead, please. Yes.
Mentioning that about the nerves, let me just say this to you. It is not an easy task for these girls. And I'll give you two examples where nerves are concerned quickly. There was one young lady when Troy brought the questions to her, she was chewing. So she got off the stage and I went backstage and I said, spit it out. She had no gum in her mouth. Nerves had her chewing. I'll give you another example. There's this contestant on stage and she practiced so well to, carnival spirit and what have you. And all of a sudden she wasn't moving. She was just chipping. So she came off the stage and what happened? With all the excitement and the nerves. Now, normally in those days, you use boots that you spray paint. And they would put some paper in the shoe to keep it in form when they spray painted it. She forgot to take out the paper in the shoe. So she couldn't move. And it all because she was so nervous. She forgot to take out the paper in the shoe. So what happens there now to her? On stage, she would have lost a lot of points for carnival spirit. So the nerves do kick in.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah, absolutely. And let us get to some viewer comments before we get to two final points on the National Carnival Queen Show and how we can improve it. And really improving it is about being receptive to feedback, quite frankly.
Of course.
Because, again, we have the institutional knowledge. And as I said to the CEO in the interview that I conducted with her, well, what are we going to be doing to really improve it and to really rely on the institutional knowledge? We have people like yourself, Auntie Sherman, Ricardo Kings Douglas. We have people like Adrian Francis. We have all of these former Queen contestants, who can serve as a brain trust. And to me, it should not be, and I, with respect to anyone who gets offended by this, it should not be about who you know serving, but it's about who is best qualified to prepare the girls. And you can say what you like about that, but that's just the reality. The best qualified people should be the ones preparing these young ladies. So I just thought I needed to make that point. Onika St. John, a regular viewer of the show. Onika, it's good that you were in Grenada. Good to know that you were here. You said, I attended for the first time in 2025. I won't return unless I personally know a contestant. And this is someone who attended the event for the very first time. This is the feedback that they're giving. We have another viewer, Ms. Brathwaite is saying, it shows a lack of communication and coordination. That was clearly evident and obvious there. Let's see here. 2025 was a mess. I felt bad for the young ladies. We have another comment. Anthony DeRiggs, welcome, Mr. DeRiggs. He's saying the bottom line is, those who do not know should tap the brains of those who know and be willing to listen. Well, I think we have an issue with that in Grenada here, because who you think you are telling me what to do or what to say? Let's see here. We have another comment. A viewer is saying, I was particularly disappointed with the talent section. All those mechanical problems. I felt so sorry for the ladies. Let's go to Ricardo Kings Douglas, a legend in this business. Ricardo is saying, Carnival Queen Show is a tradition of our culture and has its place in Carnival. The Queen Show should be about Carnival. It's not a Miss Grenada show. It's about costume, evening wear, intelligence, grace. Interview, culture. Queen Show is the only show you can really create a magical show to support the incredible contestants. The contestants should not have to worry about a thing regarding the production. Let's get your thoughts on what Ricardo just chimed in on here.
Well, he's accurate. He's very much on point. It's, again, Kellon, and I'm glad that he raised that point, because the shows, I never believe in having talent in a Carnival Queen Show. What you create is an unequal playing field. And we've seen that even more this year with what, 6 other girls or so doing these monologues. These monologues are not talent, yeah. And when the rationale is, if she has to go to the region, she has to have a talent. Well, we can deal with her. We taught Mary Noel. We brought her to Angel Hearts to learn to play pan, to go to Miss OECS. You know, so creating that is not a problem. So I don't see that as a rationale for having that in a Queen show and creating an unequal playing field for the girls participating. So I never believed in that. Secondly, as it relates to intelligence and a carnival Queen show, I think the question and answer again is enough. And I normally would have an ambassadorial speech. Let the girls choose a topic, they go, they research it, and they present it on the night. There is something now called a pre-interview. And I'll tell you about that pre-interview. That score should have been announced the night so people know who had what score going into the night. They didn't do that. And that would have been one of the errors that created all this sort of situation in place. Now, the pre-interview is done by Miss World and Miss Universe. When we sent Aria Johnson to Miss World, we had to conduct a pre-interview. It's a requirement of Miss World and Miss Universe. Why? Miss World and Miss Universe want to make sure that their contestants are of a certain caliber intellectually, because that queen, that Miss World or Miss Universe, has to travel the world, meeting with diplomats, meeting with ministers, meeting with prime ministers, etc., etc. So it's a requirement. How does that become a requirement for a Carnival Queen show? I don't know. Yeah. But even if they decided to do that, they should have indicated to the audience, these are the scores going into the Queen show. So you leave a lot of room for speculation when you don't let people know what you're doing. And that was one of the issues there. But before you move on, I know you want to finish off. I also want to speak to scores that have been placed in public forum. After looking at the scores, there's some things that doesn't really add up to me. For example, why do we have to have in dress and in evening gown in costume? I don't know. It's one category. Why split it? But what's interesting to me, and I would like for folks to go and look on the back at the scores, you would see that, for example, in the evening gown section, Miss Saint Patrick is best in evening gown. Miss St. Andrew, evening gown. They both have the same score. But that sounds strange to me. Then I look further into the scoring situation, and I noted that there are several ties. For example, in the evening wear section, Miss Pitty Martinique and Miss St. John has the same score. Miss St. David and Miss St. George has the same score. I am saying to myself, this sounds so strange. Judges have the same minds, that they come up with the same score, that you have so many ties. And I'm talking about what is called the official final score sheet that is printed out there. So they leave a lot of room for speculation. And that's why you find this sort of situation happening. You know, we find ourselves in a position where people heckling the poor young lady. She didn't judge herself. We need to celebrate her. She didn't judge herself, eh?
Correct.
Let's
correct.
face it.
Correct. And it should be
on
about the process
Spicemas.
and not about the. Correct. And I want to bring in Charmaine here on this very question. And now that we're going to veering into that direction, which we are going to around the scoring and the judges, the judging decision. Charmaine, in 1995, that was also a controversial year in respect of how the public perceived the results. So can you talk about your experience, and not only you, but the other young ladies who participated with you in that year, because it was controversial as well in respect of the judges' decisions. Let's talk about your experience with that. Did you, for example, obviously social media did not exist then, so perhaps you did not have people, posting things on social media and doing all of those things. But talk about that experience.
That was the first thing I was going to mention. Imagine no social media back then. What we did have initially on the night when the results were given, you would have heard the uproar in the audience, right, Auntie Sharma? That's the first thing we would have heard. And then next morning, back then, what we had was the radio programs where people called in. It was a popular thing, so everyone was allowed to call in, the next day. And my goodness, even though I came from the Queen Show and waking up next morning, and I honestly accepted the results at the time. Come on, I was 20 years old. I just took part in a competition. I was happy with my performance. But I have all these people around me, including my team, saying, no, the scores is not, these don't add up. And then you have all these people calling in and saying, no, the results are not accurate and we need to go back to the drawing board. And so without all the social media, we would have just had the call-in programs. And of course, people walking up to me in the streets and telling me the same thing. For me, the support that I got from everyone, and I'm talking about strangers as well as my team and everyone around me, meant more to me than the crown. I don't know if that makes sense to you. So
yeah, it does. Yes.
For us as contestants, and I know all of us, because we got along quite good, all 7 of us, because remember, we spent a lot of time together. We did a lot of rehearsals, and then there was a point where we had to vote for Miss Personality. So we would vote on each other in that category, for instance. And so I'm saying this to say we got along, and we each went out there and we did our very best on that night. However, persons who sat in the audience can see, even without a breakdown of the score sheet, they were able to tell in their own opinion. They were like, no, this is not adding up. This results don't match up to what we actually saw, But we have to still give credit and respect to the judges' decisions at the end of the day. I think one of the aspects that we overlook, and I'm just going to mention it now, is that we need to focus on ensuring that judges are fully qualified. I think that's a small gray area that we need to look into because, as you mentioned, Kellon, the other shows were spot on in terms of the results. And I think it's very crucial that the judges who are selected are fully qualified for that category of that show. But yeah, going back to 95, when the results were read, I in our own terms, that was neither here nor there. We accepted the results, and I didn't take it on as I wanted to say. I didn't take it on. I went on the streets, and actually, my team printed a T-shirt. They had T-shirts, and I think they were for sale, and it had a picture of me on the front, and it said "My Queen." And persons bought and wore these T-shirts all throughout Carnival, and that was my crown.
Absolutely, if
I may come in here.
Do you remember? Yes, go ahead, please. Yes, go ahead.
As Charmaine speaking about her experience, we also have to look at the experience of the winner at that time, which is mirroring of today, the winner of today, and the criticism and the public reactions to them. Likewise, the public reacted in a similar way to the young lady who won that at Charmaine's time. And it is so unfortunate to put these young ladies in that kind of position because of your errors. We don't want to get into the errors of Charmaine's situation because I'm very much aware of it, but I'm not going to get into it. It's past, it's done. Yeah. However, when you put girls in that kind of position, yeah, because of your faults, it's unfair to them. It's unfair to them. I saw the young lady posting, something on social media. She shouldn't have to do that. The owner should be on Spicemas to do that and not her. She's not there by her fault. She won the crown. They crowned her. They judged her. If their system is flawed, the onus is on them. And I'm just begging the population, please treat her kindly. Nice young lady. Treat her kindly. Celebrate her.
As contestants back then, we never had any bitterness towards each other. And like you say, it was people on the outside who were making their comments and, sharing their views or being disgruntled about the results. But now that we have social media in the picture and people have this avenue to go online and make all sort of remarks, and like you say, it's not the young girl fault. She performed, she got the crown, and there's no reason why everyone had to be, sharing all these horrible things.
No, we shouldn't. We shouldn't. We need to ensure she's one of us. She's one of our beautiful young ladies. She is the new carnival queen. I notice our friend Cook Sital has a statement on your thing there.
I was actually reading that with the purpose of sharing it. Kirk is saying that they were qualified judges. The judges themselves were unhappy with the results. I saw them storm out of the stadium, so there is more to it. Well, Kirk, we would love to hear from the judges. I will be reaching out to you.
Oh,
Kirk,
wow.
You know I will follow up with you on that, my friend, to see what that is about. I will be probing there. Yes, I think, since you made the statement, because I think there needs to be clarity on all of this.
And Kellon, let me just
Go
say
ahead,
this.
Trevor.
As it relates, I was a bit shocked when I heard the MC saying about scores, the possibility of not being added. At the end of the day, there is something called a final master sheet where all the judges attach their signature to it and finally signed by the chief judge. And in my opinion, if Spicemas wants to verify or make that sheet, now remember, I didn't say a computerized result, the final master sheet that all judges and the chief judge would have signed up on, maybe they need to let us see that as well. I don't know.
Did the corporation do themselves any favors by releasing that statement that they did with the result?
No, I think that they dig their hole deeper. They dug the hole a little deeper because what are you trying to justify? If you're sure that everything went well and you can make a statement because of the controversy that's out there and say that you stand by the results that were la 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 la. But when you bring this forth for people to scrutinize, you put yourself in a further monkey pants. That's my opinion.
Well, certainly, absolutely. Ladies, let us go on. There is some sticking on my end, but I'm not sure. Can you still hear me?
I didn't hear that.
Yes, there is some lag on my end, but are you still able to hear me?
Oh, yes, we're hearing you loud and clear.
Okay,
and once
very
again,
well.
I want to reiterate, because I see somebody, I'm following your trend here, talking about the young lady. We applaud the young lady. We do not condemn her. She is the carnival queen. So please do not get the impression that we bashing the young lady here on her winning at this time. I am not doing that, and I will not doing that. It's not in my nature. We celebrate her because she was judged the carnival queen. Yeah?
We celebrate and we also congratulate her. I made a comment. I went and made a comment on her. She did a release, as you mentioned.
That's right.
Press release, and it was excellent. I thought it was a really, really good thing of her to make this press release and just to remind persons that, there's no need to bash the contestant itself.
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. We shouldn't. Not at all. It's just, and I still try getting back to the production again. Sorry, Kellon. I still can't understand after what took place last year why this year was not better than last year. Last year, we even had a prop being built on the stage with hammer and drill and all this nonsense in a Queen show. So much went wrong in 2025. How come you couldn't fix it in 2026 and make sure you brought the best? Because people were looking forward for that.
Yeah,
so many
yeah.
visitors on island. Yeah, people who've been here and been to Queen Show. Some of those folks, they're here and they really want to see the spectacle of our ladies, because that's when we get the opportunity to our young women to really showcase themselves. Bring the best. You have people who can ensure that you get the best. Whether you're talking about things has evolved, you have a lot of creative people living in Grenada, young people who look at some of the events, Kellan. You've been to a number of these events over the carnival season.
Yes,
and you see the quality and standard of the productions.
Correct.
And the ambience of the place and all of that. So it doesn't mean that we lack that. And it doesn't have to be a Sherma Wells or Ricardo or whatever. We have people with a lot of capabilities and expertise. So why are we shortchanging ourselves by bringing this sort of production in this 2026?
Yeah, absolutely. Very salient points.
The lighting was a mess on the stage. I was shocked.
The audio, the sound was horrible.
The sound was a mess. I was shocked to see the Karakou girls' evening wear had different colors. You couldn't see that on the stage. All you were seeing was a white kind of see-through looking thing. And because why? The lighting was terrible. I was shocked to see the lack of glimmer in Miss St. Patrick dress, for example. Why? The lighting was terrible. Poor, you have a ramp to the front of the stage and there's no light on it. That is actually the spot where the contestant is most recognizable. And there was no light there. Yeah, Kellan, I think I need to leave.
Yeah. Auntie Sharma, thank you so much for agreeing, and we will go over to you all for some closing comments. Charmaine, I want to begin with you, and again, thank you. I know you have the carnival cold, so I thank you for rallying this morning, and I'll go over to you for closing comments.
Yes, Kellan, it's a pleasure having me, and yes, I'm still battling, and I think hopefully a couple of days' time I should be 100%. But this meant a lot to me to be a part of. And I want to take this opportunity again to congratulate everyone who took part in this show this year. I watched the performances, I watched the costumes, the evening wear, and I think they were all really beautiful. I just think the performances plus your judges and your results and your production, it needs to be a collective effort, not just one aspect. And the girls really did their best, but of course that wasn't enough. We needed a lot more in order to have 100% quality show. So guys, we need to work on that, because it's something that over the years, Queen Show is something that people look forward to. Auntie Sharma, you know that. I'm listening to you talking about the lights, and I'm trying to remember whether or not did we have a lot of lights back in 95? I won.
We didn't have a lot of lights, but we had adequate lights, because a man by the name of Choke Sylvester, in spite of the fact he used to have a lot of fluorescent bulbs all to the ground of the stage, so it reflects on it. There was lights.
Yes,
we didn't have the modern day lights, but today they have technology to bring that stage to life.
Yes,
I was surprised to see the condition of the lighting.
My dress, as you may recall, it was Elmo's Fire. Remember that? It was red with flames on it.
Well, and I named it, so I must know it.
You named the dress as well?
That's right.
And I got best evening wear. And I would have had to come out and made that impact, and my flames should have been flaming on the stage. Yes. So yes, Kellan, thanks for having me. And let's hope that we can work towards producing better shows going forward, because I've seen years, I remember years when there weren't any Queen shows. And I'll tell you what happens too. Let me just add this before we go. When you have shows that turn out like this, you have contestants who are less wanting to take part in the shows. They may be asked or suggested and say, listen, would you like to be a contestant? And based on the results, based on the production of the show, the overall Queen shows, this puts the contestants off from partaking. So that's something that people need to take note of.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll bring in Auntie Sharma. Auntie Sharma for closing
my final
comments. Yes.
Well, I see that a lot of kudos going to the Miss Teen Grenada pageant as a well-executed one. I wasn't there, but let's see. You never know. But you know, if I may say this, Kalon, issues like this cause the Queen show to not attract contestants, and you would understand that the Queen show got to a very low stage because of a lot of issues like these. Yeah, hence the reason why we had to end up taking it to Spice Basket, because the stadium was too big for it. Yeah, and a lot of these issues created that. Let's hope we don't get to the level where people stop coming out to the Queen show and we have to go to a smaller venue. Before I leave, I want to give credit to the new CEO. She took on that task just a few months ago. And I myself was a little bit concerned, because I saying to myself, this is not a good place to start. So the job that is done, I want to give her credit for it. Of course, there are areas that need to be addressed and should be addressed going forward. And let's hope that the board takes into consideration a number of issues and come up with proper plans and policies to address them, whether the lateness has always been an issue, but it's time for us to solve that. I want to congratulate the young lady, Miss St. David, for winning the show, and I hope that we treat her kindly for the year and let her excel in her reign. Yeah, we must ensure that we tap into the people with the knowledge, the information. We talk about standing on the shoulders of people, but we should not only just stand on their shoulders and shove them into the ground. We must be able to ensure that we embrace them as well, learn from them, tap into them. My biggest resource where it relates to Carnival, and it's not that he's been there before me, is Adrian Francis. He has things there that you would be surprised. And before I leave, I just want to say that this journey of mine started in 1976 in Queen's Park on a stage, and you'll be surprised to know, by accident, the gentleman who was supposed to MC, I went there to do description, he disappeared. It was a rainy night and he disappeared, and somebody said he left with a young lady, and I was asked to MC the show. Again, there was nerves, but I got on the stage and I did an okay job. That is 50 years of Carnival. Thank you, Kellon, for having me on today.
Yes, indeed, Auntie Sharma. And hopefully, perhaps you and Ricardo and Adrian, you guys can co-author a book, on Carnival's past.
Adrian will be the best person for that. And Ricky, well.
Yes, absolutely. So, folks, my internet is lagging here. So what we will do, we will immediately go on, segue into the conversation that we had with the CEO of Spicemas Corporation, and then we will come back for an interview with last part of the portion of our conversation today with Mr. Donald Noel, representing the Rainbow City Mass Promoters. Congratulations to them on winning Band of the Year. So let us take a break now, and we'll be right back, folks. Stand by. This is the post-Carnival edition. As you know, as we do as the Bubb Report, we always have a post-Carnival program. And this year, I'm actually very happy to have an in-person conversation with the CEO of the Spicemas Corporation while I am on the ground in Grenada. And we'll have a conversation about the highs and lows of Spicemas 2026. As we know, Grenada Carnival has certainly created an international reputation. The amount of people who were here, the traffic was intense, it was insane. I suspect the airport is busy. But we'll have a conversation about the highs and lows of this year's carnival. And I'm happy to be joined by Mrs. Tisha Grant.
Tisha Noel Grant.
Tisha Noel Grant. Mrs. Tisha Noel Grant, who is the CEO of Spicemas Corporation. This conversation was a long time in coming, but we appreciate that Mrs. Grant's schedule was extremely busy.
Yes,
so, Mrs. Grant, welcome to this week's edition of the Bubb Report.
Oh, thank you for having me. And it's indeed a pleasure to be here.
You are in this new role as the CEO of Spicemas Corporation. How has it been taking on that significant mantle and knowing that you have the weight of history behind you, given all of the other CEOs who've served, and the weight of managing Grenada's biggest national event?
Well, how has it been? I must say, different emotion, different feelings.
Yes.
It has been the happy moments. There have been the moments that I'm like, oh my goodness, this is a lot, So a lot of mixed emotion feelings. But I must say there have been a lot of challenges, but there have been a lot of ups, there have been a lot of downs. Mostly ups, I must say, because I'm working with a group of people who are, and I must say I have a supportive group. Who have been really cheering me on, the Grenadian public. They've been cheering me on. And I really do appreciate, the stakeholders, just the words of encouragement they have been giving me throughout this journey. And, just those fine things that they have helped me a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, let us talk about the lessons you have learned from this experience as the CEO. And what lessons stand out to you most importantly?
The lesson that stands out to me or stood out to me most importantly is the importance of treating people well. And when I say that, is that, in this industry, you have so many different stakeholders, from the artists, the delegates, just name it, the board of directors, everybody. And I think respect and treating people well is indeed important. And so you've seen for this year in particular, the artists, one of my goals is to ensure that they enjoy that moment. In competition, it is, it's high stake. And so the tension is there. And so how, as Spicemas Corporation, can we embed that smoothness, that relaxation? And so this year, you've noticed that we have started the artist lounge, the VIP lounge, just for them. And we've also included the AC in their rooms, just to ensure that they're cool. Because you're in a competition. So the lessons really and truly, it is really for us to focusing on our stakeholders, ensuring that they are satisfied as much as possible.
Absolutely, very important. Now, Grenada's Carnival, very popular, as I indicated.
Yes, it is.
And what would you attribute that to? Obviously, we don't have the numbers for the amount of visitors who were here. And again, when we think of visitors, certainly people think of returning nationals, aka the JCBs. But visitors from the region, what have you been hearing from them as they've experienced Spicemas this year?
I must say, every moment the media is involved, the bloggers, the vloggers, and everybody, also the music. So there's a multiplicity of reasons why we have that high numbers. It's not we don't have the numbers physically as yet, and however, I must say it can be a credit to the popular social media people, the media houses, and also all of our artists, the type of music, and they're going worldwide, internationally. And so I think it can be accredited for the number of people that we've seen, the visitors, the non-JCBs, as you would say, that are here now. So that is one of the things. And for me, the feedback is fascinating, it's great. They have been speaking about the food. They've been speaking about the pace, the road, it's like a marathon. You have to go in from one into the other. And I think the whole adrenaline and the excitement is there. And so all of these are accredited. And, when we get those good reviews, I'm expecting that 2027 to be another bumper year. So we need to just prepare ourselves for that.
No, absolutely. And that brings us to the question of the product, because they're coming to Grenada for the product of Carnival, right? And when we think of the product, of course, Jab Jab is the premium product, some might say, right?
Yes.
But let us talk about the Carnival product in respect of where it currently is.
Yes.
And I mentioned Jab Jab, but we have the traditional mass,
Definitely.
we have the fancy mass, we have the steel pan, we have calypso, we have soca.
Yes.
The music is just, Grenadian music is just really hitting really new bars. So let us talk about the Carnival product. What worked this year, first and foremost, and then we will also discuss where we have come up short and what we need to improve on.
What worked this year in terms of the product, I think about, as you mentioned, the music.
Yes.
The music continued to be on that great high. Our Grenadian local artists continue to produce wonderful music. So I must say kudos to them and the writers, the producers.
Yeah.
And I think that with music, it's really what brings us as one. That's something, even though you speak another language, when you hear the beat, when you hear the rhythm,
yes.
It really entices you.
Yes.
And so I believe that that's one of the things that worked extremely well for us this year.
Yeah.
It's a Grenadian music. And I also believe in terms of the product, what worked for us this year is that we started on time. If you notice that in our production, when we said 7, we started, even though it's 7:05, we ensured that we started in time, and we started in our preliminaries. We showed them, hey, it's a professional thing, and we're not going to tell you 7, and by 8 o'clock you're there still. We're starting in time, and so you notice that this year, our crowd, our patrons, they were there. They recognized, they got the message, and they were in time. Also, too, I must say, in terms of the product, generally, in terms of the production, we have seen a lot of improvement in terms of the production of all of the things. And I must say to all the production team, Andy Chichester and his team, Chan and his team, they have done definitely a fascinating job in terms of producing what you call the different shows. Also, too, you notice the steel pan. This year, I must say the numbers is a bit higher for both the Dimash Gras and also the steel pan. So I tell you that it is going, and we are going to ensure that those numbers are growing, because we are thinking already about how can we improve this product for 2027.
Yeah, absolutely. Let us talk about the areas of opportunity, the areas that we need to improve on.
Yes. The areas we need to improve on, I believe, is our road experience. Our road experience for now, when I was on the ground for all the days, just evaluating how we do things in terms of the structure, in terms of the time, I think we need to work on timing. Our marshals were there, our people for the road, they were there on time, but we noticed the lapse. And we know that the lapse can be accounted for the 3 events in terms of the same masqueraders that are doing the Jab Jab or the Juve are the same ones that are doing the mass, and they are the same one who's doing the Monday night mass. And so we noticed because of this, we are there, the trucks are there, but they are not there. And because of this, we have a lapse in everything. So that is one of the areas that for 2027, we are going to be looking in from this year. How can we improve this particular product? How the experience in the road, we'll say that we're going to start on a certain time, and we will start on that time. So we have to, have dialogue with all our stakeholders, our mass band leaders, our Monday night mass band people, everybody, all the personnel involved, and we are going to see how we can work this in better for us. I must say, I always say, one other thing that I think is, back in the days we used to have pageants.
Yes,
that
on
used to
Carnival
be,
Monday.
right?
Yes.
And you go into the National or the Queen's Park area.
Yes.
And you sit and you relax.
Yeah.
So after Juve, you went there. And then afterwards, you had enough time, even if you choose to go home, if you live in the surrounding area, and then you get ready for your Monday night mass. And so that product, we have changed it a bit, and I believe that can be accounted for what we're seeing today. We are seeing this today because no longer is people moving from the stadium, or you can say Queen's Park, they're moving from basically the road to road. So we move from road, and road. And I think that can be accounted for what is happening there. And so we need some improvement in that particular area. Yeah.
Yes. The Queen Show has been a pain point for many folks. Many folks express grave disappointment. Not counting the results, we'll can have a separate conversation about that. Actually, we do have a segment on that with a former Queen pageant and a former Queen Show host. But in respect of the production, many argued, for example, that you had one MC hosting the show. There were lots of pregnant pauses, and so many have argued that the production quality for Queen Show was just leaving a lot to be desired. What happened there? There is I know that all of the various shows are usually managed by the stakeholders.
Yes.
Who are tasked with that particular show.
Right.
So I'm not sure if you've heard the feedback coming from Queen Show, but let's get your thoughts on that.
Okay, so the Queen Show, yes, we did have some mishap in terms of that. What I can tell you, the team, they worked extremely well. They worked very hard. As I said to people, it's what we see on the night of the show is not the night. These people have been working since last year, October, in terms of grooming the young ladies and so forth. And yes, we did have some issues with our sound. That is really beyond us, and also our lighting. Those are two issues of concern, and it also created a lapse in terms of the show, because obviously if your sound is not working well, or if there's an issue with that, then your product, it will affect your product some way or the other. But I can tell you, the team is already looking at all of their postmortem. They've started looking at all the areas that needed improvement, and so 2027, I must say, will definitely be a difference in terms of the Queen Show. One of the concerns people are speaking about as well is the area of the talent. And I would hear people saying, oh, I'm hearing a lot of monologue and so forth. And I say to them, you really have to understand Queen Show, because as a committee, I have heard the committee chair, she said, listen to me, this year, in our first meeting we were there, she said, you know what? Don't bring all this monologue. Try to do something, pele pa, do this. And it was encouraged. But at the end of the day, one will bring in their talent. And you cannot really say to them, no, you can't do a particular monologue because it's their talent. The area in terms of that, I know for a fact that they have people working in terms of the production of this. And so those are some of the areas that the Spicemas Corporation, we will definitely have to help work in terms of facilitate. How can we do all of these things? Because all of this is what make up the production. Yeah? Each segment make up the production. And so we have heard the issues, many people are speaking about. A lot of people are not getting into specifics though, like you are, in terms of you think the production needs improving. So once we get in, all of these stakeholders are saying to us, well, this is what has happened, this is not, and we will try our best to see how we can improve it for the future. Yeah, because we definitely want to satisfy our public. They are the ones who are coming, buying our tickets and coming to the show. So definitely we will try our best to see how we can make that production a little bit tighter. Yeah, and how can we improve it in the future. But I must say kudos to the committee. They have worked extremely hard. I know they have sacrificed a lot of time in. Every day you notice that it was a journey, a holistic development journey where they took the young lady on not only just the beauty part of it, but developing the brain, developing the aesthetic in terms of how they do things, simply etiquette classes they have been to. They have been to training in terms of psychosocial, how do they deal with the counseling sessions and so on. And so I do not want to just the end of the product, the show, to delve in, because you remember there are people behind this. And they have worked extremely hard, and it did not turn out as they wanted in some areas, but I do not want to bash them because I know the work they have placed into it. I know that it's a long journey, and they have sacrificed the timing and so on. So kudos to them, and chin up, because I know the public, they're coming for them.
But also, let's talk about the judging.
Yes.
Do you feel as if there were opportunities for perhaps greater public education?
Yes, I think.
Not only for the Queen Show, I think for all of our competitions. I do know, for example, in Dimasgra, and most of the shows really, the MCs would always remind the audience, you have melody, you have originality, you have all of this, different criteria, and they also tell you about the point standing.
That's it.
Do you think that perhaps that is something that needs to be just re-emphasized over and over again? Because again, the public reaction from the results of the Queen Show, I'm sure you probably heard about it, and Spicemas just published something on this, was people were just not happy, right, with the results. And again, this is not a knock on the young ladies, this is a knock on the judging. So let's talk about how that was managed. Do you think that perhaps there might have been a need for more public education?
Yes, I think we can do more. We always can do more in terms of public education, because one of the things that I recognize is that a lot of the parts that people win, they are not actually points. So for example, Miss Congeniality, there's no points. Miss Photogenic, there's no points. Awarded to this, you just get this award for that areas. So I think you are correct. We definitely need more education, let people know exactly what are the different points one can be allotted, and letting them also know that there's a pre-interview and the points that go into the interview. I think that Yes, education can be done in terms of how these are scored. And as I said, the judge's decision is final. I must say a lot of work has been done with the judges as well, so they don't just go in the night and judge. They actually have workshops that they attend, and I'm sure they know all the criteria and so on, but the public needs to know, I believe so.
Yes.
So going forward, we're going to try our best to see how we can educate the public in terms of that. And on the night, as you said, rightfully, the point standing, so you know for sure, for costume is the most point. There's a number of points that we'll be getting for a costume, the winner. You can amass this amount of points. I think it's important for us to do so. I think one of the things is that in terms of the show, last year one of the review was it was a very long. And I guess to cut back on certain things, we try to cut back in order for it to have it a bit more compact. And in doing so, some information was not given because of that. You just wanted, you know, some people say, oh, there's so much of talking in the show and all of that. So
well, there was a lot of talking with the MC this year, and perhaps, and with all due respect to the MC, but there was a lot of, I mean, it was only him as one MC.
Right.
And so normally in the past you had more than one MC. Yes. So I'm not too sure what that was about.
Again, to change. You know, we have done the 2 MC, we've done the 1 MC. So we're trying to see how much as the committee say, you know, you want to change certain things, and every year you're going to give the same thing. I know when we do the 2 MC, we got a lot of bashing as well. Yeah, you know, sometimes, oh, why is this thing? And so very often, it depends on the audience and what they like. Sometimes the audience would love the 2 MC, and then some would appreciate the 1. So it's a matter of just changing up the whole show and what is expected of the National Queen Show. Yes.
Yes, let us get on to the other aspects of the carnival product. And that has to do with Panorama and the Mardi Gras.
Yes.
Panorama attendance was up. I was very happy to see that this year. And I was also very happy that my band, the New Dimension, won. I'm a Dimension fan. That's the only biased folks I have on the Bubb Report for Pan. but the Mardi Gras, especially in the context of when it's hosted at the National Stadium, attendance is low. When it was hosted at Progress Park in St. Andrew, they did that as sort of a pilot a couple of years ago. That worked well. So let's talk about those 2 products. And how you perceive it and the conversations you're having with those stakeholders about getting greater audience participation.
Yes. Well, actually, this year, for the both shows, the audience participation was a bit more.
Yeah.
Firstly, if you notice that this year, we took it on a different journey in terms of actually going to the different pan houses, as you recognize, on our social media platforms, and really showcasing our pan men and women, and on our children as well. And so I believe that the build-up of the whole pan and the advertisement that we gave really could be accounted for the numbers this year. Also, too, if you recognize the Mardi Gras, this year, the finals, their numbers went up a bit. We also did what we did, the streaming, the live streaming of also the prelims.
Yes.
Yeah, and that is supposed to encourage people to come out and support our local. The issue of movement in terms of the Progress Park and so on, because in the venue, the size of the venue, it would seem as if it was actually more, but in actuality, it was about the same amount because the National Stadium size is a bit larger. And so that's why it seems as if, you know, the crowd is a bit more, smaller, you know. But I must say, we are going back to the drawing board in terms of how can we really motivate people to come out. And as I said, this particular season is a season of reflection. It's a season of how do we make each and every product better? How do we get our Grenadian public to come and support our local pan men and women, and as well as the Mardi Gras product? And so that will be a key area of development in terms of the production, in terms of everything that we do for 2027. You know, but I must say, kudos to all of the pan men and women. They did an exceptional job, as well as our Calypsonians. You know,
they had a lot of younger artists this year.
Precisely.
Yes.
And that must be, you know, and for me, when I see this, I'm so excited about it. This year, in addition to, we had a father and son winning. Yes, our Serpent and Moti. And to me, I believe that the culture is safe. And you notice that we've seen our soca artists, they're now in Jello. Could you imagine that his first time and he won a crown already?
Yes, in
and
the
so you saw
that's historic.
Yes, Tris, just to name a few of them. Our local young men and women are now moving over into the Calypso arena. So it is safe. It's just that we need to focus in on developing the product and ensuring that we keep that product aligned and that whatever we do, that we encourage them to come in and stay in.
Yes.
I think that is going to be the focus. But we say thank you to the young men and women who have taken up the mantle, not only in soca and groovy, but also the Calypso.
Let us, and before we go on, and this is just a quick follow-up, you mentioned young people, and really that has to do with Fancy Mass, because I'm not sure if you saw the release from Tipsy the band.
Right.
They indicated that they will not be participating in the Fancy Mass competition or King and Queen of the Bands competition next year. We do see a lot of bands on the road. There is someone argued that for that aspect of Carnival, we seem to have outsourced it to foreign promoters, foreign entities, foreign interests. And also in respect of the quality of the costumes and so on. It might not be a Francis Redhead or Lazarus, Helen Marie or Comancheros, right? That sort of Grenadian aesthetic, some have argued is missing from a lot of the costumes, sort of cookie cutter. And now you have Tipsy in the band saying that they're not going to participate. One of the claims that they made is that the compensation or the rewards, the prize monies are just not enough, and that creates an issue of sustainability. How do we fix that to ensure that we have that Grenadian indigenous? And some of the bands, yes, are local in the sense that they're registered here, but the argument is that a lot of their costumes are not necessarily reflection of the Grenadian aesthetic. So how do we fix that? Have you given thought to that?
Yes. Well, first of all, I think that we need to have some discussion with our local band leaders. And I want to hear more from them because to be honest, I did not see that particular thing, on Tipsy. So it's a discussion that we definitely would have. I believe that we need to know what they want from us. And so I am going to meet with all of the local mass band leaders, and we're going to have the discussion, and we are going to do the report, and I definitely will go back to the board, and we're going to see how, because we definitely want to preserve each and every of our local bands. We want to, and I must say this year we have done some things to assist them. They have written to us, asked for certain assistance, and we did ensure that we gave it to them, because we think it is very important for us, as I said before, to have them there, have them, and, also to looking into Tipsy, you're saying to me, saying that it doesn't speak well for us as a corporation. And so definitely discussions will be held, and I'm telling you, something positive will happen.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I look forward to that, because the King and Queen of the Bands competition on Sunday night is something that I look forward to in the Mashka.
Yes, me too.
It's as somebody who grew up around Mass,
Definitely.
with Waterman and so on.
Yes.
Yes, so that's important. Now, local media, they're stakeholders. They express some concern with respect to things like not having elevated scaffolding for event coverage, as well as a lack of front stage access.
Right.
One newspaper, the New Today, indicated that they were not given any accreditation to cover any of the Spicemas events.
Right.
So let us talk about your relationship with the local media. Have you heard those concerns, and what you'll be doing to address them?
So the local concerns, I must say, it's unfortunate that the local media, reported these. We have had discussions with them in terms of the president. And I can recall one of the things, the location, we brought her to the site to see where exactly she wants to be located. And so one of the things was the issue of health and safety with the pyrotechnics and so on. And then we were able to place her somewhere. But on a very short notice, she requested that she has that elevated. Now, it was only the Wednesday before, the Queen Show was a Thursday and a Wednesday, and so it was very difficult. We did ask her to source the particular, she wanted the scaffolding and so
elevated
on.
Platform.
The elevated platform and so on, and we did try our best to ensure, but the request came a bit late. So I'm saying going forward, we're going to try our best to see how we can work together with the local media, because they're important.
Yes.
We really recognize and we love our local media, and we want them to be there to cover. Yeah, so certainly that's another discussion we're going to have going forward in terms of ensuring that they get that particular space and that, whatever they need in order to accommodate them at our shows. In terms of, I did have a discussion with George Worm. Sorry to say that I got that information very late.
Yeah.
Apparently he has been sending information via our email, and I guess it probably got lost somewhere or the other. So we do apologize for that. I did apologize to him profoundly already, that it's something that happened and it should not have happened, and going forward we are going to fix this. When things do happen, I believe it's not a blame game, but to just own up. And I'm saying publicly, we do apologize to Mr. George Worm on what has happened in terms of him getting accreditation. As I explained, it's something that it was so much, it became very overwhelming. But going forward, we are going to fix this. The issue of when issues happen, how do we go forward and fix it? And so it's given us the opportunity to see how we can delve in terms of accreditation, what we should do, how early. It means that coming next year, it will be done much earlier. So it gives us a room base for people, anybody who left out, we can work on it urgently. Yeah.
And I think part of it too is, again, my theory of the case is that when you assign responsibility to folks, they need to do their jobs.
I agree with you.
And with respect, the PR team at the Spicemas, they need to communicate and do their jobs. Right? So that's just my feedback, because like Mr. Worm, I sent emails, did not get any response. I had to go through Callistra to be able to say, hey, I'm trying to reach the PRO to organize an interview with you. I think people also need to be held accountable, because the corporation is only as strong as those who are able to pull their weight.
Definitely. And the thing about it, our PR team is fairly new. And so definitely a little bit more handheld holding has to be done. And so, as I said, this year, seeing that she has the experience, we have the experience in terms of what they expect, certainly we will see some improvement. And it's okay, I'm happy that you're saying that, so we know the areas that we need to work on, areas that we definitely have to work on our PR, ensuring that we get timely feedback and ensuring that accreditation is done earliest as possible.
Yes, absolutely. Two final questions. One has to do with, before we even get to lessons for Spicemas, the traditional mass event in Victoria. Such an amazing event. It's really, to me, a recitation of our history and on our culture coming alive. I really wish I was on island to attend it. But I think, how do we get more participation for that in the build-up to Carnival, not only from Grenadians, but from folks who are visiting the island?
Definitely. I think, again, more PR must be done in terms of this. I must say the production this year was an excellent one. The St. Mark's Committee, they work extremely hard, so kudos to you out there who worked, the St. Mark's Committee worked on it. I must say what we have recognized as part of the Spicemas Corporation is that actually the event has outgrown its space. And so next year, please the Lord, the committee already looking into this, they are going to change it. It's the same St. Mark's. We're not going to take it away from St. Mark's, because traditionally, they are the one who have been holding this together, and we do appreciate them. But we are going to make some changes. We are already in discussion about where, the location, and so it will be able to actually accommodate more visitors, as well as we are going to ensure that the PR is done, the build-up is done, so that people are aware of the traditional mass. And more education, and as we've seen already through the Ministry of Culture, they have been doing some groundwork. So those red table talk, they're speaking about the various traditional mass and so on, and these are the things that we're going to do. Educating our public to understand the whole richness of the traditional mass, where it's come from. The whole costume and the meaning of it and so on. And so once we figure out that we have all the public in terms of understanding, then we have our finale, or grand finale, which is a traditional mass. And so we'd expect that once we do that publicity, that we're going to actually get more people understanding it. As I was saying also, with all the mass bands, you can see they have their website and you know where to sign up. And so as part of our long season, we are going to see, because there are some people who are interested to play, I want to play a short name, but how do I sign up for this? We want to play a VECO. And most you can see it's really a community-based sort of thing. So we want to see how we can actually showcase this, advertise this, so that one can see we can help them probably do a little website. So that you can say, okay, I want to play with this particular band. And so this is a process, the registration, and we get this thing going, so that we can actually have our foreigners as well as our locals, because some locals are, well, if you're not from the particular parish, you don't know. So we are going to see how we can help and work as a team to see if we can develop this product in terms of showcasing and getting people to actually play a mass, as you say, for the traditional mass aspect.
Yeah, absolutely. And one final follow-up on mass. I promise that that's the last one on mass. But there have been concerns expressed by masqueraders on the road that it's either the route is too short or it's too long. That's on Carnival Tuesday. In St. George's alone. We know that St. Andrews as well, they have an amazing Carnival Tuesday with Peter Bain and Associates. Congratulations to them winning Band of the Year, leading the way. But in the context of St. George's, which of course is the main showcase for Spicemas, the concern expressed on Monday and Tuesday is that, one, the bands are not moving a lot. And two, by the time the bands get to Tropicana area, it's already dark. And there is that blending with the crowd so that masqueraders feel sort of, confined in a very narrow space. Have you given thought, or has the corporation given thought to the current route? Expanding it, making it shorter, to ensure that folks are not waiting 7, 8 o'clock in the night to see a band pass?
Definitely, that's the discussion we've been. Actually, since I've started the role of CEO, it is something we've been looking at because the concerns have been raised. Actually, though we love St. George area, that particular area, it has actually outgrown, in my opinion. It's narrow, the trucks are bigger, and the bands are larger. How do we fix this? It's something that definitely, as Spicemas Corporation and the team, the board of directors, are going to be looking into for 2027, because what we are seeing, the same complaints that, one, it's too short for some people. We know for sure the spectacle is in the sunlight.
When that sun hits the costume. And that was the beauty of the carnage.
Definitely. The beauty of this. And so we are going to be looking into this. The issue of the length. What we took into mind in terms of the length is because the bands were so big. There were actually 90, I think it was approximately 19 registered bands this year. Oh, wow. And the numbers is very high. So the issue of you're starting further down because there's so many bands. If you start higher up, it means that you're going to be right on the judge point, ready and truly going. So it is something that we've collected statistics this year in terms of the bands, the size of the bands. And so next year in our planning, logistically, we are going to look at how do we change around this in order for the bands to get moving. But I must say the movement of the bands is not only because of the location, but it's also to the mass parade people in terms of the time that they start, because there are times that the trucks, they have to be waiting. So this year, what we've tried to implement, that if you're not ready, that we're going to actually ask another truck or a band to move forward. So that is another issue again. So the issue is not just one, but it's a myriad of issues that we have to fix in advance. All right, and we are going to be doing some deep thinking. The postmortem will focus in on how do we improve this whole road, because we have the issue with the road situation here. And so next year, please, Lord, we're hoping that we have a better product in terms of logistically. How do we have the route in terms of, and the movement? How do we move this quicker? And so that people can really enjoy both, not only the masqueraders, but also the patrons. Also, to have noticed in one Caribbean country, there's a fine if you get into the band. And I'm telling you, as the corporation, we definitely have to do something to protect the whole mass experience, and we're going to do what we have to do.
Lessons for 20, and you've referenced a lot of the lessons that you're going to be taking with you into 2027 planning. Is there anything else that you want to talk about that we did not discuss in terms of lessons?
Lesson learned. So, for example, earlier planning. One of the things that, because I came in so late, consultation with all stakeholders. That's a big thing for me, communication. I've had a lot of stakeholders' involvement in terms of the mass. We've had discussion with them. We've had with the tent leaders. But I am focusing a lesson that I definitely will be going into 2027 is more communication with all of the stakeholders. And when I say stakeholders, I'm speaking about also the service providers. I'm going to be booking a bit more earlier this year for next year, please the Lord, in terms of just generally earlier planning for every aspect of it, so that when we come to the season, we don't feel rushed in any sort of way or the other. So that's a lesson that is going forward in terms of more communications and more stakeholders involvement, getting the feedback. So the feedback that we're getting now is what we're going to be holding on to build on the product for 2027. So all the statistics that we're going to gather, yes, so that is one of the key lessons. In addition, as lesson learned, we're going to ensure, for example, the lesson learned is that, guess what? Early start is a lesson because it's not only a lesson for the corporation, for also our patrons, that as a Spicemas corporation, we have to show that professionalism. And so we're going to ensure that continued for next year, please Lord, that our shows will be starting on time. We are going to continue. It's a great lesson that we learned this year, because I saw the times in the preliminaries, people jumped out of the vehicle and they said, look at the national anthem is going to be played, you know. So for us, you know, it's something that we are going to deal with in terms of continuing to develop. Also to, again, another lesson that for us is ensuring that safety is key. And this year, I must say, congratulations to the Grenadian public. We did an exceptionally good job in terms of safety. The roads, you know, we did not hear about any much fighting or, you know, no deaths happen or anything like that. And so we must congratulate, you know, we really proved that Grenadians are a very hospitable people, friendly. And so we saw it this year in the carnival. And so we must say we cannot take all the praise. It is because of our Grenadian people, the public. They are the ones who have the success, and we have to congratulate them on this. So it's another lesson for next year, please, Lord, to continue the great and fantastic work that we've started.
The pay-per-view, ma'am, that for our diaspora folks, that left a very bitter taste in their mouth. Because people who are not able to attend Carnival, that's what they depend on to watch the shows. That is something that folks are saying that, you know, the corporation needs to fix.
Definitely, I agree with you, and I agree with the folks. Trust me, if I do pay for pay-per-view and I want to see the mass, I want to see it. And I do understand the frustration, and we do apologize. And definitely, this is something, again, you know, how do we get this correct? Because this year we have actually tried branching it off, and it's just not working as well. So we have to get this particular aspect correct. We have heard issues about the payments, you know, and, you know, the short notice. So there's a lot of issues with that again. And so this is something top tiered that will have to be fixed for 2027, because we can't afford for people to be paying and can't see. You know, it's going to be unfair in terms of the patrons as well as us, because we definitely will get in that negative feedback that we don't want. So certainly it's something that we are going to be delving into for next year as well.
Yes, absolutely. Any final comments from you? And I understand that you're from Belmont, and
yes,
so
I am.
Belmont was always and still is a hotbed for carnival and culture. Did you ever play mass?
Yes, I played mass. I played, and also, you know, we had a UFO.
Yes, I remember the UFO.
Yes. So I played mass for a while, but then afterwards I went into the judging arena. And so I judged pretty mass for a lot of years, as well as, you know, I also involved in the soca, calypso, and the groovy judging. So I've been doing that for a lot of years. So that kind of took me away from the mass playing and more the observation. I've judged road mass for the last 4 years. So I've been a part of this, and so it has given me the opportunity to really sit back and look at, you know, what is it? So based upon that, my experience from looking in that lens and looking into the next lens now of CU has helped me a lot, I must say. And yes, for Belmont, traditionally, we're known as Francis Redhead. I can remember going to the mass camp and just simply taking some of that glitter dust and put it in, you know. So it is definitely a rich historical perspective for me. Being from Belmont, a Belmont girl, you know, and our rich history in mass. We love the mass at the Belmont, you know.
Yes, you do, you do. So it's full circle there representing. Is there any final comments as we go to the next segment?
The final comment I would say is definitely, I just want to say thank you. Thank you to the media. Thank you to all the stakeholders. Thank you to the Grenadian public. You know, thank you to the board of directors. You know, everyone, we performed the role. And the success that we are seeing for 2026, to the police officers, to the security, just name it, everyone who contributed, to the vendors, to the cleaners, we say thank you. I keep saying that Spicemas Corporation cannot do it on our own. To all artists, we say thank you to you. Because as I said, the culture is bigger than the man. And for us, I say kudos to, and, you know, thumbs up to each and every stakeholder who made 2026 a success. You are the real MVPs. You are the ones who really carried the burden. And yes, we are the corporation, we have the burden in terms of execution, but we cannot do it as I continue to say on our own. And we say thank you to each and every stakeholder.
Yes.
Yes, for the contribution they've made.
Yes, and we also want to thank Bay House for providing this wonderful interview facility for us while on island. They've done it in the past, and as you see on the CEO's background here, there's some beautiful artwork, that Bay House offers here as well. So if you want to get some good art in Grenada, come to Bay House, and you can get that as well. Viewers and listeners, this is the Bubb Report. We will take a break and come back for the next segment of the program. Please stand by. Thank you. Hi, everyone. The Bubb Report is committed to being fearless, balanced, and independent, bringing you the stories that matter most without compromise. Now do us a favor. Remember to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Hit the bell so you never miss an update. You can also watch us on GBN TV every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Catch us on WPG10 television every Sunday at 8 p.m. Your support helps us to keep journalism free from bias and influence. And together, we can make sure every voice is heard and every fact is verified. Thanks for watching. We want to welcome you back to this week's edition of the program, and we're happy that you were able to stay with us for the interview with the really newly minted CEO of the Spicemas Corporation. She got into that role very late, I would say, into the planning and execution of Spicemas. So, I suspect, obviously, she had experience in other aspects of Carnival, but in that specific executive management role, taking on that role as late as she did, I suspect that was a very steep learning curve for her. But we do thank her for making the time that she did to speak with us on today's program. And we were able to get a lot of your comments. We have a viewer saying, congratulations, Madam CEO, on a successful Carnival season. Let's see here. Someone is saying, good morning, Dr. Bubb. Happy Sunday to you and your guests. John's mom was happy to see you. Yes, I saw John's mom. John, is that you at the Mug Morris breakfast? So it was good seeing you there. It's good seeing you there at the Mug Morris breakfast. I had a great time at the Mug Morris breakfast. Onika is saying the business committee should also assist in this situation. There is no reason Sates should be dead. In 2001, my first Spicemas experience, I only participated in St. George in Juve. I stayed in Sates. That has been a concern with respect to what's happening with Rural Carnival, and I think that's something that the committee should be looking at for next year's Carnival. Let's see here. Ms. Matthews saying, good for suggesting a fine. The vendors did not clean up. Okay. Similar comments about Carnival in St. George's. It was great, but local Carnival was almost non-existent. Let's see here. Also, my Aunt Helen Batson is watching from Virginia. I trust that you got back safely yesterday. We were able to, well, you don't play Mass, but you watched on the sidelines. But your son and I, my cousin Carmichael, and also my cousin Martina, we all played Mass this year, as well as Georgia and Aaron. I come from a family who really loves Mass, so that was great. Okay, so now let's get to the final segment of the show, and I'm happy to be joined by Mr. Don Noel of the Rainbow City Mass Promoters. Don, congratulations to you, sir, on your victory this year as Band of the Year.
Thank you very much, Kellan. And also thank you to the masqueraders, the parents and supporters of Peter Bain and Associates. We thank you very, very much. And this year's victory was one that was well accepted.
Yes.
Yeah, for our band leader, our former band leader, and also for one of our masqueraders. Well, she basically was involved in almost everything pertaining to Peter Bain and Associates, that is Melva Wawood, who unfortunately lost her life earlier on this year.
Yes, because Melva played.
That victory was
Yes.
for Melva and Peter and the other fallen soldiers of the band.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Now, Dawn, with all of the changes happening in Carnival, with respect to especially the Fancy Mass and Tipsy the Band, I'm sure you saw their release and so on. Talk to us about how Peter Bain and Associates continues to carry the tradition forward.
Well, if I may say, Mr. Bain has been a very down-to-earth person. And a lot of persons would have come into the band to play mass, not necessarily purchasing costumes and stuff like that, but whatever it is that they had, they were allowed to play the mass. And so the legacy continues that they decided to be faithful to the band. And so every year we decide that, okay, these people are going to come in. Some of them come into the mass band itself and assist during the nights of preparation for costumes and stuff like that. So this is what has the band going.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And let us talk about, now we hear a lot about, shall we say, the bikini mass out of wanting to be respectful. This is a family show and it's Sunday, but people have other names for them. But how are you in the process of seeing all of that? And Tipsy the Band also made the point that putting out a band and having to compete for King and Queen of the Band is a very expensive gesture, really. And the more contemporary bands, they seem to be more well-resourced, but they don't participate in competition. So let us talk about how you are really managing to stay relevant in this period, but also managing to ensure that you are remaining true to your core values as a traditional mass band.
Well, in relation to the as you say, bikini bands.
Yes.
Right? I have no problem with persons coming in and doing their stuff. Once they have remained within the confines of the rules and regulations of Spicemas Corporation, and also identifying with our cultural traditions, right? But as relates to the other bands like Tipsy and Comancheros, Lazarus and Twine and Associates and Helen Marie and stuff like that, we are the more traditional bands. When I say traditional, I mean the local bands who actually do wire bending and actually sew our costumes, right? I can speak for Peter Bain and Associates. I could say definitely that looking at the other bands and the cost of their costumes, we are the cheapest. Our costumes range from $150 to maybe $400 the most. And I think that is what attracts a lot of persons. We do not really have much exposure in terms of skin, and our mass band, our revelers, our masqueraders, trust me, when they get into the band, they go out there to enjoy themselves and to perform for the Grenadian public and the visitors alike, so that they could actually enjoy the Spicemas product that we have to offer.
And Rainbow City, Peter Bain and Associates, you not only are on the road Monday and Tuesday in Grenville, but you also come down to St. George's, and then you go back up. But let us talk about, let us talk about, because we have heard many concerns about Carnival in St. Andrew, in Grenville in particular. How has it been evolving, or shall we say devolving over the years? And what are the concerns that people in St. Andrew have about carnival and mass in Big Parish in and of itself?
To be honest with you, Kellan, over the years being involved, I've been involved in carnival for more than 35 years, right? Not just as a masquerader, but also as a judge of carnival shows, the parade of the bands and stuff like that. We have never really been a big parish in terms of the amount of bands as St. George's would have, but we had significant bands parading the streets of Grenville in the past. We had the traditional bands like the Telescope Patchy, the Shotneys, and we had the Paraclete Mass Band, as well as Peter Bain and, well, it wasn't Peter Bain and Associates at the time. It was Rainbow City Mass Promoters. And we had these bands together with other minor, other smaller bands coming out on Carnival Mondays and Tuesdays, right? However, for the last few years, what we have seen is that a lot of these bands would have dwindled. They would have gone out of service. And so it was basically left with Paraclete and Peter Bain and Associates coming into the town of Grenville. We have one or two Shotneys and stuff like that. I think we need to decentralize the carnival product. Right now, the carnival product is centralized basically in St. George's, and then by the time the bands and so get back to their parishes, as we normally do, because we are normally the first band on the road in St. George's.
Yeah.
We are sometimes 300 strong in St. George's, and then we leave St. George's to journey back up to St. Andrews to give off to our parish.
Yes.
Right? And it's really, really taxing in the sense that, okay, our costumes are big and elaborate. And when we get to St. Andrew, we're not given the opportunity to play our mass, because you have everybody just rushing through the band. The masqueraders are not able to actually portray their costumes the way that it should be portrayed. Right? There isn't enough space in the Grenville area to do that.
Right. Yes. Absolutely. Let us talk about, however, because and you mentioned all of the other bands and the other portrayals that are no longer in existence, and perhaps that can be attributed to the fact that people, sadly, who died, who participated in those aspects of the culture, and another generation has not taken that on board, right? So let us talk about, in respect of Peter Bain and Associates, Rainbow City Mass Promoters, what are you doing to ensure sustainability and continuity? Following Peter's untimely passing, my very good friend Peter of blessed memory, one love every time. How are you really encouraging younger folks to have an interest in mass, in participating in mass, and really in understanding things like wire bending and costume design, etc., etc.?
Okay. Well, we haven't really done much in that sense, except that the persons who are masqueraders, what we allow them to do, some of them, when they have, if and when they have the time, is to come into mass camp and assist in preparing a costume, maybe putting on decorations, braiding, doing gold dust, putting on feathers, as the case might be, right? What is really lacking in our community is skilled wire benders and persons with well, we do have persons with creative minds, but at the same time, the skills in doing what needs to be done to actually put out the finished product, we have to depend a lot on outside sources most of the time, right? So in this light, I am hoping that maybe our Carnival Committee, Spicemas, as well as the St. Andrews Carnival Committee, I am hoping that they are going to put on workshops and stuff like that in terms of creating costumes, the judging, and the whole works in terms of putting on a better mass product, a better carnival product.
Yeah, I absolutely and wholeheartedly agree with that. And perhaps we need to stop teaching that Christopher Columbus discovered places and start really teaching people our culture. Because, again, you know, that there are some Grenadians who have absolutely no clue about the origin of Jab Jab. They have no clue about the significance of the Veku and the Shortney. If you ask the average person the etymology and the history of those things, they don't know.
Definitely.
They just don't know. But if you ask them about Christopher Columbus, and if you ask them about any European colonizer, they could tell you all of that. And so it is something that I always say, but these are the fundamental, and we do a very good job with steel pan. Young people are, steel pan is in safe hands because young people are learning to play pan in our various communities. And we need to do the same things for the other aspects of Carnival, including the wire bending, including the costume design, including the writing and the composition in Calypso, right? And not have an artificial intelligence bot do that for you. These are the areas that we need to look at, because that is how the culture will continue to live. The culture will die if people are not familiar with the culture, right? So
I am hoping.
Yes, Don.
I am hoping that those things could be brought to our schools. Start them as early as the primary school, because what we find happening now, the steel band is evolving and getting stronger and stronger because it has been introduced as far as low as the primary schools. And then these children grow up, go into secondary schools, and then out into the community, and we have better and stronger steel bands, right? So I'm hoping that the same thing could be done in terms of the calypsos, the costume designing and making and stuff like that. We start out in the schools.
Yes, absolutely. And we need to decolonize our curricula. We really need to do that so that it's much more indigenous to our identity of people of African descent, mostly people of African descent in the Caribbean and in Grenada as well. Let's look at some other Nicole Belfon. Hi, Nicole. It's good that you're watching. She's saying, good day, Dr. Bubb. Hello, Uncle Don. Oh, that's your niece. I didn't know Nicole was your niece. She's saying, nice to see you
my niece.
On the Bubb Report. We have another comment. People can be trained to make costumes. Costume design might be a special skill, but most people can be trained to make costumes. I totally agree with that, because somebody has to do it. Yes, or else the culture will die. That's just the reality. Yep, let's go on. I believe a member of the St. Andrew Carnival Committee should have been more appropriate on this program. That's good feedback. I don't know anyone on that committee, but we were focusing on some of the big picture issues and with Rainbow City Mass Promoters. But that is a conversation we can have. And Don, perhaps you can put me in touch with a member of that committee. Are you on the committee as well, Don?
No, I'm no longer on that committee.
Okay, but
I can get you in touch with someone.
Great, and we can certainly have a member of that committee on the show. Thank you for that feedback as well. Benedict Rouget is asking, are there any other steel band groups other than Rainbow City All Stars in St. Andrew? I think that's it.
Not really.
Yeah, that's the only band. Squares' band.
Yes.
The late great Squares, yes. Let's see here. Other question. Dr. Justin Peters is saying St. Andrews lacks unity. Why is that? All ideas are discarded because none are willing to change. Don, are you willing to tackle that, or is that's too heavy a comment for you to respond to?
And to be honest with you, St. Andrews have some very strong-minded persons, and yes, Dr. Peters is correct in that some of us, we don't like changes. Our mindset is one way and that's it. It's either our way or no way at all. And I think that is what is causing all the breakdown and the lack of interest in persons who could make valuable contributions towards Carnival and the upliftment of the St. Andrews community on a whole as relates to Carnival and other developments.
Yes. Ms. Grant is saying here, not to be mistaken with Ms. Grant, the CEO, Mrs. Grant, the CEO, Monday Wear should be done with. Where did this come from? Juve should start before the sun come out and shouldn't be rushed because of Monday Wear. Monday Night Mass has never been about thongs and costume. We are losing our authenticity. Our carnival is becoming like every other carnival. Let's get your thoughts on that, Don, especially in the context of the fancy mass evolution that we're seeing.
Okay, well, what I've noticed for the past few years is that bands come out on a Monday with t-shirts or maybe swimwear outfits for Monday's parade of the bands. And then on a Tuesday, they actually come out with the actual costumes. We, on the other hand, at Peter Bain and Associates, we use our costumes and so both days. So I don't know where that stemmed from, or if it was something that came down from Spicemas, but we continue to use our costumes as we have for the our mass to portray whatever it is that we are portraying. Unlike the other bands where we see the t-shirts and this bikini pieces and stuff like that.
And what can we look forward to, Peter Bain and Associates? I'm absolutely certain Peter is smiling now. Melva also, who played for many years with that band, right? And I'm absolutely certain those two ancestors are really happy with what the good news that came out for your band this year.
Definitely, because we won the kiddies as well as the overall band of the year.
And 2027, obviously, that's a long way ahead, but well, it's not that long if you think about it. Before you know it, Carnival will be here again. What are you thinking in your mind in terms of portrayal for next year, finally?
Well, we haven't met to do a postmortem yet for 2026. So until this is done, then we are going to be able to brainstorm as to what it is we are going to be doing for 2027. And I do hope that we start early, because to be honest with you, Kellan, this year it was a very late start for us. We only actually started our costumes, and so around the middle of July, which was just a few days before the Kiddies Carnival competition. And still we were able to pull it off and win Band of the Year, right? And then we had to concentrate on the senior aspect of the band and the king and queen of the band. As a matter of fact, I am very happy to say that this year we were able to complete our costumes for the king and queen of the band and have not much to do when we got into the stadium. more than to do the little bits and pieces before we got on stage, hooking up the little bits and pieces.
Let us
nothing
talk.
major.
Let us talk about the subvention, and that's one of the issues that Tipsy the band raised. What conversations, if you've had any with Spicemas Corporation about increasing the subvention for the mass bands, especially those who compete?
Well, I can't say much in relation to the subventions, but I know there were talks about the increasing of the subventions or the increase in the prize money. Because to put out a mass band takes a lot. Right? So as well as in terms of the sourcing of the material, we're not able to source much material here in Grenada. So we have to go outside most of the time to Trinidad and stuff like that to get materials for our costumes. So in terms of the subvention, or maybe if the subventions can't be increased, then maybe we could look at increasing the competition, the winning prizes for the band of the year, or even the king and queens of the band. We could increase the prizes.
Yes, absolutely. Mr. Donwell, thank you so much for appearing on the Bubb Report this week. And I always make the point that Carnival is not only a St. George's thing. In fact, you know, some of our more traditional aspects of Carnival are firmly rooted and grounded in rural Grenada. There was one, Miss Finn from St. David's. She was the Queen of Maypole. We don't see Maypole as much. I mean, I know that Rainbow City Mass. I saw you guys did Maypole a couple years ago.
Yes,
but
we did
Yeah,
Maypole.
you guys did Maypole a couple years ago. But Miss Finn from St. David, she was the mother of Maypole in Grenada, in rural Grenada. Then the Wild Indian, that was a very popular traditional mass expression also in rural Grenada. You know, so Carnival is not only about St. George's, but it's about the salt of the earth expressions that come from rural Grenada, and that's why a strong case needs to be made for a decentralizing of the mass, so that we also pay tribute and homage to those in our other parishes who also make Carnival happen. So, Mr. Noel, thank you for appearing on the program this week again.
Thank you very much for having me as well, Kellan. It was a pleasure.
Yes, absolutely. Viewers and listeners, that was Mr. Don Noel of the Rainbow City Mass Promoters, Peter Bain and Associates. They won Band of the Year this year, and they won Band of the Year against the backdrop of these many challenges that the more indigenous bands, fancy mass bands, are having in Grenada with respect to the carnival. But before you go, folks, we do have watching right now about 220 people over on YouTube. However, on our YouTube page, we only have 6 likes. So just hit that like button if you are over on YouTube. Well, we have 13 likes now, but just hit that like button before you head out for your lunch and whatever else you will be doing for the rest of the day. And I also want to take this time to really acknowledge and shout out everyone who I was able to meet and have conversations with during my time in Grenada. It was indeed a singular pleasure meeting all of you. I met some great folks at the Carnival Queen Show. Many folks thought that my outfit was stunning, so thank you for that. And again, the Bubb Report will continue in the service of national development. And next week, of course, we will be continuing with our other regular programming. There's so many other issues that we need to get to, but as you know, the carnival really took up all the oxygen in the room. So we'll be getting back to regularly scheduled programming. Not that carnival is not regularly scheduled, but I was really having a time in Grenada for carnival. So Let us get back to, again, Black Wizard always said, when the carnival is over. Now the carnival is over, we have to get back to the business of serious issues and national development. So until then, I'm your humble host, Dr. Kellen Bubb. We will see you next week for another installment of the Bubb Report. Take care. Bye-bye. Have a great week ahead. Hi, everyone. The Bubb Report is committed to being fearless, balanced, and independent, bringing you the stories that matter most without compromise. Now do us a favor. Remember to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Hit the bell so you never miss an update. You can also watch us on GBN TV every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Catch us on WPG10 television every Sunday at 8 p.m. Your support helps us to keep journalism free from bias and influence. And together, we can make sure every voice is heard and every fact is verified. Thanks for watching.